we're going to do the flower first. Okay, we got the flower up here. And once you get your clay, like I said, it's going to be a little bit, it won't be really tacky, but it'll feel kind of dry, but it'll still be fine. So what we're going to do is basically, this thing has a tendency to roll around on you when it's laying on its side like this, but you know, it'll be all right. You can actually put a little paper towel or something underneath there to keep it from rolling. And we don't need all this. We're just going to take a little portion of this, maybe half of your clay. We're going to press it out. Okay, we're going to get it into a fairly large little circle. No rolling involved with this. You don't even need a roller. You can just press it out with your hands. And you want to make sure that your circle is fairly decent, big enough. It depends on how big you want it. You can do small little circle flowers too. You don't have to do it like this. You guys can play around and get it the way you want it. But for the sake of demonstration, this is what I'm doing here. So I'm just kind of putting it up here to see how large it's going to fit on the thing. We're going to cut a little bit of that away. Now keep in mind that your pot's already going to be painted, and so you'll just add this to it after the pot's painted. All right, so that's pretty good right there. So what I'm going to do is just cut a top section of this off, because it's going to cut up against that lip right there. So bear in mind, if you guys want to do other little flowers or other little ideas or whatever you want to do, you're more than welcome. Okay, so we got that. I just want to put it up there and make sure that it's about where I want it. You can always manipulate it and cut it away and finagle it and all that. I like finagle. I use that word a lot. Okay, so it looks pretty rough right now. Don't let that bother you. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to just kind of lightly put like where my center will be. Do like a little center part here. Just kind of draw it out. You can even use the back of your X-Acto knife here. Use the back of it. Just kind of get a general idea. And then you just start kind of like, you're going to draw out your petals. Draw them out. You want to just make them so that we're not going to cut all, we're going to keep all this as a one piece. So you're not going to like cut the petals out, but you're just going to kind of like draw them like this to get an basic idea. You'll be able to play with them, trust me, after we do this part. You are going to cut away a little bit on in the on the tips, but not in the middle there. So that's the basic idea. All right, we'll do this number here and do this one here, and then get the little one on the end there. Okay, we'll be able to shape them. This is just getting the basics. Okay, now what we're going to do, we are going to take the little end parts off here. See there, we're going to cut out the little end parts just a little bit. I don't want these to be, like I said, manipulated too much or cut too much. That petal there in the center is a little bit big. Like I said, you can kind of play with it and get it the way you want it. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to redo them a little bit. They're kind of, I don't want to cut too much off the ends, just enough to where it gets that separation. All right, and take that off. When you're not using the rest of your clay, it's good to go ahead and keep it in your baggie so that it doesn't get too dry, because this stuff will get a little dry. So I keep this, this part here, I would put it back in my baggie. Like I said, these are really rough right now, but it doesn't matter. You're just going to be cutting that whole section off right there. And then we're going to clean them up after we get all this excess off. It's better to just cut straight down than to try to drag it. Sometimes you do have to drag, but initially it's a cleaner cut when you can just cut straight down on them. Okay. All right, we'll get this one off. And bear in mind that you guys get to color these any color you want. You're definitely going to be able to color on the clay when it's wet, when it's still raw. You can paint it. It's pretty cool. All right, so I've got the general idea here. Now, once I do this, I'm going to go back and kind of clean it up. They look really rough right now. Let me see if I can lift this up again and show you. It's kind of, if you get it thick enough, you'll be able to manipulate. So it's a little rough right now on the edges, but I'm just going to kind of clean those up. And you can clean it up by either using the back of your X-Acto knife. You can use your fingers, whatever works for you to make it nice and smooth. And usually I just use my fingers. You might try your popsicle stick too. and or sometimes you can use a baby wipe. The baby wipes will kind of give it really nice and smooth as well. All right, we're going to put a nice clean little edge on there. Sometimes you have to play with it a little bit. Take all that excess away so it'll get out of your hair. And like I said, you just kind of play with them. I do like the baby wipe idea because it gives it a little bit of extra moisture, but not too much. And then you can just kind of, you can even go back after you cut your ends off and kind of reform that top part there so that it's a little cleaner. All right, so once we get it to where, this is really rough, guys. I'm doing kind of fast. You'd want to take your time and make it a little bit prettier than what mine is. I'm just kind of giving a quick tutorial so that we can get through this and you guys can get to working on yours. All right, so at this point, this is kind of what it looks like. Still looks a little bit rough. You know, when you see it up close, you can tell, you know, what's rough and what's not, but it's there. So at this point, I know me, I'll sit here and play with it forever. So you take the back, you can either use your toothpick if you choose, or you can use it back to the X-Acto. I like to use the X-Acto in the back of the X-Acto because I think it's pretty clean. And then you just want to score some lines. See how this one has like little vein lines in it? Okay. You're going to put your little vein lines in, just a few, you know, 2 to 3 per petal. Okay. Make it look kind of pretty there. Now, like I said, you want to kind of, you know, get your ends cleaned up a little bit. This one said is rougher than what I would normally do as a final piece, but I'm just sort of getting mine. So you just want to lightly score on your piece. You don't want to go too deep because you'll end up cutting through your clay. All right, and so at that point, once we got our petals looking like something, we're going to actually attach it to the pot. Okay, and clean my surface off here a little bit. Now, what we're going to do is use this this Titebond. We're going to use Titebond. Once you've got your image, you can, if you mess up, like we're going to turn this over and put the Titebond on the back. If it messes up, you can just go back over it with your hands and kind of fix it. All right, so be careful with the Titebond. This stuff runs. It's really, really runny, and you don't need a lot, and it can get too much on your surface there. But what happens with the Titebond, so you can see the clay still wet, it'll give us a nice adherence to the pot. Once it dry, it'll all dry up together really nice. So you put a little Titebond like that on the back. Use your popsicle stick, craft stick, whatever you want to call it. Don't have to get every little edge, but try to get, it's good to kind of try to get those little tips on the end because they, you know, have a tendency to want to pull up. Okay, so once we got that, looks sort of like that, then you're going to go ahead and just slap it on your thing here. I actually am going to use this side because I've already started on this side. Okay. And you'll put it up like that. Okay. Now, once you get it up there, you know, you want to kind of pop it up there towards the edge as close as possible. This is where, once again, you can continue to kind of play with it. I got a little blip right there. You can kind of clean up your ends. You don't want to have like little boogers on there. You know, get it a little bit cleaner. You can even use your toothpick to make better, cleaner lines. Kind of smooth it out and make it a little bit prettier. Okay. And like I said, get those ends. But that's basically it. Now, what I'm going to do, the final thing is we're going to put our little guy here on here. Well, I guess I need to show you the leaves too. See, it's best to put a paper towel. Let me grab a paper towel. Should have done that already if I can find a stupid paper towel. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just you can grab a paper towel, or how I did with this one is these are my nasty towels. Don't worry about them. But I put something on here to kind of keep it from moving around. It'll stay in place for you. Okay. Now, you might even have some clay left over on this, guys. So just, you know, if you have any extra clay, you can use it any way you want, or you can give it back to me. Do whatever you want. So, you know, we're going to create the little centerpiece here. And all it is just kind of like roll it like in a little ball. You can make it as big or small as you want. If your clay feels like your clay is getting a little bit too dry, honestly, you can take a little bit of a baby wipe and just kind of lightly put that baby wipe on there, and it'll come back really easily. Because you don't want to use like water. It'll be way too sticky. It'll start getting really goopy in your hands. Okay, so at this point, We're just going to make like a ball, and we don't need the whole thing. I'll probably just maybe cut like half of it. Cut half that ball off there, and you use that flat part. Now the clay will actually stick to itself pretty good, but just for the sake of making sure, we're going to go ahead and add a little type bond to this too. Actually, we can put it on either surface, either one, this one, that one. Okay, spread that around on our surface there. And we're going to add that clay on top. Okay, so you can make this as big or small or as flat or whatever you want. And you're just going to form it out. Okay. Now, once you get it formed out, if you like, you can just kind of squish it on there a little bit, get it to where you like it. Now, you see this one here, I actually put the little holes in there to give it like a little seed effect. You can do that with your toothpick. Sing a song, have fun, play with your clay. All right, and there you go. That's basically it. Now for any kind of leaves design, if you want to do leaves or vines or anything like that, I'll show you that real quick. And see, now at this point, you can actually go ahead and paint it. You'll be able to paint it up, even when it's wet. You don't have to worry about waiting until it's dry. Okay, so we got that. Now let's do a leaf. Leaves are very simple too, guys. It's just taking a little bit of clay, flattening it out, and I'm just going to do one leaf for the sake of time because I do have to get to the mushroom one as well. So you just do this number. You just kind of sort of like the petals. It's just a curve. Just sort of naturally cut them out like a little curved design. Okay, then once again, you can smooth it with your fingers. You take your baby wipe and smooth a little bit more. This one here, I put the leaves up at the top. You can add them wherever you see fit. And you'll put some type bond on that as well. We'll go ahead and do it. I'll just let this one dry, and then I'll end up painting it up and having a second one, because I already have my one sample here. Okay. And, add your leaves. Now on the leaf, you want to go ahead and take the X-Acto knife or your toothpick, and you just score that vein line down the center. Toothpicks are actually working pretty good on this, so you can try that. Then you want to do your lines, and you can just press them. Press like that. See how cute? All right. And there you have it. Okay, so add your leaves wherever you want to add your leaves. If you want to do a little bit of a vine, which I have on the mushroom, you'll see that in a second. Then we're just going to roll it like a sausage, put it in between, and just kind of roll it out kind of small. You want those little ends on there. Sometimes you might want the ends, but you're just going to roll it out like that. And then you'll just add it on wherever you want to add it on. Okay, and actually you do want to probably take your toothpick and put a little bit of the, take your toothpick, let's do that, because I know some people might be a little bit, I would, at this point, take your toothpick and put it on a little, on your plate or something like that where you're going to paint just a little bit on the, your plate, and then just take your toothpick and go along like that. You need to have some of this on here, guys. This is a little bit on the small, tedious side, but it's kind of cool to have the veins on there. It gives a nice effect. You could run a line, put it on here and then run it down if you know where you're going to put your vein, your vine. But I think it's better to put it on the clay itself, because you never know when this thing's going to end up. So you can do it like that number there. Even if it gets twisted a little bit, it's okay. But you got a little vine. And then you can kind of press it down, twirl it around, whatever you want to do. Okay. And there you go. And like I said, this is going to be really kind of tedious to paint, but you can get a little teeny brush, use a little teeny brush and paint that up. And there you have it, guys. So now you can start painting it. All right. So that's that one. Now, let's go ahead and get on with the mushrooms. The mushrooms look like they might be a little bit difficult, but they're really not. So let's switch out and let's get this mushroom one. And I'm just going to do one mushroom for the sake of time. I'm just going to do one because once you do one, you can do the others. Once again, you'll have this all painted up the way you want to. You can do whatever you want. So the mushroom cap, like I said, it looks like it's like a little funky, but all you do again, and I'm using the same amount of clay that I had from the first go around, so I don't even need it. And like, okay, so we got that one out of the way. So all we're going to do once again is we're just going to press a circle. Okay. I know a lot of people, mushrooms are like, I don't know, they made a comeback. I'm a product of the 60s and 70s, and they were kind of a big thing about the whole psychedelic age. But mushrooms are very cool. They got mushroom coffee and all kinds of mushroom things these days. So mushrooms are kind of